Okay. Welcome to this forum for candidates running for election to Newark City Council. There are 2 seats open for 4-year terms. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Fremont, Newark, and Union City. I am Dave Fishbaugh. I'm a member of the League, and I'm your moderator. The League of Women Voters promotes political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League is nonpartisan, but we are political. We study issues that have potential governmental solutions and develop consensus positions. Once we have developed a position as an organization, we take action for positive change. However, and this is important, we never support or oppose any political party or candidate. We present this forum as a service to voters. Here are the ground rules. Before this forum, we collected questions from the community and League members. We will also take questions from this forum's audience, thus the 3x5 cards that will be collected shortly. Time constraints rarely allow us to ask every question submitted, so League volunteers will evaluate audience submissions to ensure that we can ask the most pertinent questions and cover a variety of issues. Another League member is serving as our timekeeper. The candidates already know that the yellow card when raised signals that you have 15 seconds left, and red means that your time is up. Each candidate will have up to 1.5 minutes to answer a question. Do not feel obligated to use the entire time provided. The more precise your answer, the more questions we will be able to address. And candidates, if you need me to repeat a question, please just raise your hand or ask. We do that. To ensure fairness, we have predetermined with the candidates who will receive the first question and in what order each will follow. Subsequent questions will be asked in a varied order so that candidates will not consistently follow the same speaker. Toward the end of the forum, each candidate will be provided 2 minutes for a closing statement. Now, let's meet the candidates. In alphabetical order, we have Jacinta Arteaga, Julie Del Cantancio, and Terrence Grindall. Thank you. So let's begin. And as I said, each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to answer. And the first question, which will go to Julie, is why are you seeking to serve 4 years on the Newark City Council, and what qualifies you to serve?
Thank you. Good evening, Newark. I'm Julie Del Cantancio, and I am running for Newark City Council for 4 years. As a Newark Planning Commissioner, I hear the pride of our community when we support our recreation. As a Newark educator, I hear the determination of our families when we support our youth. And as a Newark Neighborhood Watch Captain, I hear the voices of our renters and homeowners when we say we want a safe Newark. I plan to protect Newark. My focus is safety, economic responsibility, and community engagement. I'm a union worker endorsed by the Teamsters. I grew up in the area with my veteran grandpa in the home. He was a Californian farmer when World War II broke out, and he enlisted in the Army and served for 25 years. I guess my point is that making seniors a priority holds a special place in my heart. I met my husband, Jeff, on a middle school field trip as kids. We became prom dates. We became seeds who settled back in Newark 20 years ago and grew strong roots. Our child attends Newark Memorial High School. This small town is home to people obtaining big dreams. I have a Juris Doctor degree. I have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a thesis published at UC Berkeley. I earned the Presidential Gold Medal Award for Public Service in 2023. The bottom line is I'm well prepared to take on the challenge of being city council.
Thank you. Terrence, the same question.
Thank you. Is the microphone on?
I think it is.
Here comes Sheila. Wait, now, I think it's on now. Yes, great. Sorry about that. My name is Terrence Grindal. I'm a longtime Newark resident, and I'm dedicated to our community. I have 34 years of experience in city planning and city management, including 13 years working as an executive for the city of Newark. I'm a former Newark elected Newark school board member, and I have served as president of the Newark Rotary Club, the Newark Optimist Club, and the Newark Educational Foundation. I've been an active participant in our community for almost 20 years. I'm the only candidate in this race with experience as an elected official or with city management. I have balanced budgets, worked to improve our parks, helped build affordable housing, and to bring businesses like Costco, Facebook, Lucid, and many restaurants and hotels to Newark. I don't just talk about such things, I've done them. I look forward to this productive discussion. Thank you.
Jacinta, same question.
Hello. First of all, I want to just thank the League of Women Voters for hosting today's event. It is one of the most important things that as I've been walking, people have been asking, how do I know and who the candidates are and how can I know more about them? So thank you very much for hosting that. So I am a 34-year resident of Newark. I'm a mother of 2 children who attended the Newark schools. I am a 15-year community volunteer member. I have 31 years of experience in public service with the County of San Mateo. 15 of those years have been as the CFO for the District Attorney's Office with a $25 million budget. 8 of those years have been with as the CFO of the Human Services Agency with an oversight of $327 million budget. Currently, I am the Assistant Agency Director with oversight of all fiscal and administration with an agency of over 800 employees. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration Finance with a minor in HR from Cal State Hayward. I also am FEMA certified on emergency response. I've been activated during both the COVID health emergency and the Pescadero fire emergency as the Chief of Care and Shelter. I believe that my experience and background make me well prepared to meet the challenges of City Council, and it would be an asset to the City of Newark. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the second question, and the first respondent will be Jacinta. And the question is, what specifically would you do as a council member to retain local businesses and attract new ones?
So first of all, I would start by building a supportive, strong business association to ensure that the voices are heard and that the city is working collaboratively to resolve existing challenges. I would look to see what developments, what opportunities to develop zones there are by as an example, revitalizing our historic town along the Thornton corridor. That would require perhaps redirecting traffic to close some of the streets to increase the parklets. I would be looking to bring in music and other activities for families to come through. I would look to expand the high-speed internet that is already being planned by the city to attract and retain tech-driven industries. Because let's face it, what businesses need is foot traffic. And so that's what we need to focus as City Council. How do we do that? We make sure that inspections are on time and supportive of business needs. We simplify licensing requirements. We conduct business-friendly information sessions with multi-city department involvement. For businesses that bring tax sales revenue, the city can share tax credits or rebates. We provide time-limited property tax relief with the business while the businesses get up and running. And then we actively promote buy local initiatives. Thank you.
Terrence, same question.
Thank you. Existing businesses are challenged by perceptions of safety issues. Homeless individuals that are in need of treatment, that are going to the businesses, creating problems, breaking into the businesses. This is causing major difficulties for our businesses. So one of my top priorities is to address the safety concerns in the city of Newark, to address homelessness with compassion, working with the county to address treatment and mental health treatment and drug treatment. And that will go a long way to helping our existing businesses. In addition, we need to help our Chamber of Commerce improve and grow. The city needs to be a partner with our Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce is having a hard time recovering from the pandemic years, and the city council needs to set an example of partnership with the Chamber of Commerce for our existing businesses. When it comes to attracting businesses, I have a long track record in that regard. What the key way to do this, of course, working with city staff, is to work with vacant spaces and to work with the real estate community to bring in really good quality businesses, and of course, in addition to working with staff to see that new development is, particularly around the New Park Mall, is high quality.
Okay. Julie, the same question.
Yes. When we think about our businesses, we really have to consider the fact that we really are the heart of the Tri-City area. And so instead of having our people, that's about 47,000 people from here, from Newark, traveling over freeways to get to an overly congested, long line location, waiting for hours just to get a hamburger, what we really need to do is to continue to promote shopping local. And one of the ways that we could promote shopping local is to do fundraisers within our community, is to promote within our community, and is to be part of our community. And what I mean is, for example, there was an opening of a local tea shop that happened about 3 weeks ago. They went on social media. It ended up being that there were lines about 2 blocks long, and there were people that were attracted here from other surrounding communities. People were willing to drive to be at the heart of the Tri-City area. So we have to continue to keep that momentum going. And a lot of it is by word of mouth, but it's also by grants, it's also by collaboration. And when I say collaboration, what I really mean is to go out into the community and let people know, why are you going all the way over there? We have perfect things here in Newark.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next question, and Terrence, this will go to you initially. And this is an audience-based question. Newark has limited development space and no available land to annex. What is your vision for future development and how it relates to preserving Newark's small-town atmosphere and traffic?
Thank you for the question. Indeed, Newark is an infill community. We don't have much land left for development. I do believe that we need to protect our existing, our remaining open space. We need to protect our wetlands and our open space areas and focus development around already developed areas where their infrastructure is in place, in particular in areas near freeway and highway entrances to minimize the impact on existing neighborhoods. So it's very critical that we are strategic in our planning for development. We do need development. We need housing for the region, and we need housing for our own residents as they form their own households. And we particularly need to focus on affordable housing. However, we should and can protect our remaining open space and develop in areas that are already developed where infrastructure, particularly traffic infrastructure, is in place.
Julie, the same question to you.
Yes, please repeat.
Yes. Newark has limited development space and no available land to annex. What is your vision for future development and how it relates to preserving Newark's small-town atmosphere and traffic?
Yes. First, let's think about Old Town Newark. When we think about Old Town Newark, we should really think about the fact that the city was recently awarded $5.1 million from the third round of the One Area grant programs to be used to revitalizing the Old Town. And so what that means is we might be limited in our space, but that doesn't mean that we have to limit our minds. We could use the space that we have and revitalize what we need. So part of that is not only in looking at additional grants to fund us, but also to go out into our community and determine what lands are sacred to us, what lands are for our community. And so that may also require thinking about not building where we already have parks, not building where we have wetlands, which is also against the federal law. I know that some people are asking, let's go ahead and we could build more and more, but we cannot build on wetlands. We cannot build where we as a society have already determined that we do not want that. So instead, what we need to do is analyze the acres that we do have and determine what's there. And I could tell you, when I look at New Park Mall, there's a lot of open space. It's open space for retail that has not been used. And so what we need to do is determine how to use what we have and how to make sure that places are not vacant, so that way we could attract people and tax money and funding towards Newark.
Same question to Jacinta.
So I agree with Julie. We do have to take a look at what we have and how to use it. So for me, it would be important that we start reviewing existing vacant properties for possible rezoning, which would include some of our warehousing space that has remained vacant. We would also look to build a partnership with the county Department of Housing, where Newark puts up the land, what few we have left, and they provide state and federal funding. I am aware of a program that could help us with that. So I would seek to partner with the Department of Housing. I would also look for opportunities to leverage city funds by seeking out state and federal funding opportunities such as grants. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our next question, and this will go to Julie. Do you think the affordable housing needs of Newark are being met? If not, what role do you think the city of Newark should take to make housing more affordable for low-income residents?
Yes. So when we really think about low income and affordability, we should also consider the fact that in 2022, Newark received a home key grant for about $38 million to convert 125 hotel suites into permanent, supportive, and affordable housing apartments known as Cedar Community Apartments. And so that was one way that we as a community determined that we needed to address low income and affordable housing. However, the battle is still ongoing. And what that means is we have to continue to not only attract individuals to come to Newark, but also to continue to provide a home for those individuals who live and work here. And they are tired of being renters, or perhaps they work here and they're tired of commuting so far away from Stockton and further in order to just go to work. And I know that this is true because as a teacher here in Newark, I've spoken to other teachers as well, and they're taking trains just to come here. But they would be willing to live here if it was affordable. And that's why, as a Newark Planning Commissioner, I did vote in the affirmative when there was the idea of building units and affordable housing where people could also purchase some of the housing here on Thornton at a lower discount rate. Then I was in favor of that.
Okay, the same question to Jacinta.
So to my understanding, the city has opted to actually use the tax transfer fund. So there's an opportunity there. You can either, when you have new development plans, you can either take a tax transfer fee and the developer could pay that, or they could build affordable housing. Up until this point this year, the city has opted to receive the tax transfer in a fee and not in building affordable housing. And it is my understanding that next year that will change. So that I would certainly support and make sure that that is happening, because that is the only way that we're going to increase our affordable housing units for our residents. Now, some of the things I would also focus on is I would favor multi-use developments with shops on the bottom and housing above. That allows us to build as many housing units as possible. I would implement a first-time home buyers program to help some of our young families who are struggling today to purchase a home. I would also hire a dedicated person to develop and implement an affordable housing initiative for the city of Newark. I believe by doing all of these things that we could meet the housing element plan that the city of Newark has in place that requires us to build 1,874 homes by 2031. About 10,031 units of those have to be for low income or moderate income. Thank you.
And the same question to Terrence.
Yes, housing affordability is a huge problem for Newark and for our whole region, and we need to do our part. We need to be, I believe we should be focusing on ownership housing that is restricted to lower income families. And I believe there's an opportunity to partner with the school district to utilize unused school property to provide teacher housing, which I think could be a very important element for our community. Many of our teachers are having to live some distance from our community, and providing housing that was devoted to teachers and to certified staff would be very helpful. That obviously requires a partnership with the school district and careful planning. We have an inclusionary housing ordinance in the city of Newark. We require a percentage of the housing units to be restricted to affordable housing. We should make sure that our in lieu fee for that project is up to date and actually provides us enough money to provide units. Fees that are collected in that can be used as leverage to attract state and federal funding. So we need to make sure our fees stay up to date, so we have enough money to attract state and local funds. What we don't need is to turn hotels into housing in the middle of commercial areas.
Okay, we'll move on to our next question. And Terrence, you've provided a bit of a segue here.
Okay.
So, and this question goes initially to Julie. And this is an audience-based question. What do you feel is the role of the city and its relationship with the school district?
Yes. Well, as I've mentioned, I'm an educator here at Newark Unified School District. I'm also a union member and endorsed by Teamsters. I feel that it's very imperative that our community, including our city hall, individuals that work here as staff, as well as the mayor and city council, work collaboratively with the school district. And what I mean by that is to not only know the school board members by name, but also to be able to engage in things that promote education and that promote advancement of our youth here. And I am proud to say that I did also assist in volunteering at the last previous graduation, which was actually the first time that Newark Memorial High School was able to have many people come, including the mayors and the city council come hand in hand with the school board. And I was almost shocked that some of them did not know each other's names, and it was the first time that they shook each other's hands. And so what we need to do from here is use that as a foundation to say, okay, we started our conversations, and now from here, let's continue to collaborate, continue to support each other, and to have those hard conversations about what we could do as a community to support each other, and especially to support the youth and our students here. Thank you.
The same question to Terrence.
The city has for decades done what essentially is the minimum to help the schools. I believe we need to be thinking outside of the box about what we can do, not what we have to do. So I believe the city needs to sit in partnership with the school district, work together on achieving achieving their goals, and so that we can really lift up our schools together as a community. We're one community. The boundaries of the school district and the boundaries of the city are the same. We need to be working much more closely together and supporting each other. Those are the key elements for working with the school district. We already have a liaison committee, and that's a good start. But we need to be working much more carefully to help the city help the city and the school district move closer together. For example, there is, as part of the Sanctuary Village project, there's a parcel of land that's intended to go to the school district to build a school. Well, they're in no place to build a school right now. The city needs to be pressuring that developer to provide an extension to develop that property, and that can be accomplished with the leadership on the city council.
And Jacinta, same question.
So for me, this boils down to my understanding so far. And it's due to property tax and how that's allocated. There's a portion that goes to the schools, and there's a portion that goes to the city. And so that is one of the reasons that has been cited in the past for keeping both separate. So keeping that in mind, one of the things that I've been thinking about it would be key for the city to encourage developers to provide funding to the schools, and perhaps not funding, but perhaps require them to make repairs to facilities because they're in desperate need, or to bring in funding that would help with the parks, help with some of the land surrounding the schools that, quite honestly, it looks awful. So if we were to ask our developers to provide some of that funding or some of those repairs, I think that would be a good collaborative way to help our schools. Thank you.
All right, we'll come up with another question here. To Jacinta to begin with. There have been calls in cities throughout the United States to reallocate police funding towards social services that address problems such as mental illness, homelessness, and domestic violence. How would you address these issues?
I would 100% agree with that. You know, a big slogan was used, defund the police. And I always opted to say, we can't defund the police. What we need to do is provide them with more funding to provide mental health services. Because while our police force is great, and they, especially in Newark, I mean, you call them and they come out. You don't see that in many cities. So Newark should be really proud of their police department. So for me, it's provide more funding to ensure that we have a mental health specialist within the department that can help support the police department when they are called out on these particular calls that involve mental health. And let's face it, that's what a lot of the police departments are facing today. So that is where I would say, no, we can't defund the police. We need to fund them more so that they can provide those kind of services to de-escalate. And not only that, but we need to retrain our police department on de-escalation techniques. And again, I'll just give a big shout out to our Chief Arguello, who has done an excellent job. I looked at the crime statistics, and I know there is a perception that crime has increased in Newark. And while it has, it is so insignificant that I think we still need to give our police department a round of applause. Thank you.
All right, the same question to Terrence.
Sure. Newark's police force is excellent. They have a great culture of community policing. They work very hard to train our officers so that they understand that they're serving the community. And they actually, in my experience, they take great pleasure in serving the community and being seen as public servants. And So the city council needs to lead and continue to strengthen that position. Culture like that doesn't just happen. It's because of decades of good work by police management and the officers themselves and previous city councils. So the city council needs to maintain that. Likewise, council leadership needs to be applied across the county to encourage so that hardened criminals that are victimizing our citizens are actually prosecuted, and that services that individuals need, services like mental health services and drug abuse services are provided to the locations. I don't agree that that our police department should become the provider of those services, but I believe the city council in leading these efforts, when working with other cities, can provide leadership to make sure that those services are in our community.
Julie, your question or your answer? Sorry.
Yes, I do believe that we need to continue to support our Newark Police Department. Specifically, when we think about our police department, we have to consider the fact that they are our first responders. And one of the ways that we could help them, help us, is through continually helping to collaborate with them, but also to promote them throughout our youth as well. For example, on my own block alone, I've helped convince 2 of the kids who told me they want to be police officers, but they said they were looking into going to Fremont to do so. And I said, no, let's think about this. And so I spoke to one of the captains while I was at the Rotary meeting, and she assured me, bring them on over to us because we could use explorers and we could use our youth. And so that's what I did, and they did start the Explorers program. And so when we think about defunding things or reallocating funds, we really need to work together with the police department to determine what are majority of our calls for. Do the calls really work with mental health? And often, especially when it comes to our homeless population, they do need wraparound services. And so part of that is working within our county. And so it's not just looking at the city for funds, but also looking outside of our city, looking to our county, looking to our state to determine what funds are available so that we could assist our population with mental health. And so that is what I'm a proponent of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to use another audience question, but let me ask the audience at this point, if you have questions that you have already composed on the 3x5 card, if you could hand them to one of our, hand them to Angelina, and we'll see if we can work them into the mix. But I will ask you this, and this the first respondent will be Terrence. What will you do to add to the quality of community of our town? Such as what will you do with parks and maintenance and homeless programs?
Great. Well, I've touched on some of those issues already, but we definitely need to build our community and continue to strengthen it. Just like with the culture of our police force, we the great feeling of community that we have in Newark didn't just happen. It was built, and we need to keep honoring it and building it. We need to continue with community organizations like neighborhood watch programs. We need to continue to strengthen Love Newark, or Love Tri-City, sorry, and we need to strengthen. Our service clubs. Continue strengthen our service clubs. Our community spirit comes from volunteers, as former Mayor Smith used to say. We have rampant volunteerism here in Newark, and the city needs to play a role, and does, but would appreciate council leadership as well, play a role in building and honoring and supporting that rampant volunteerism.
Thank you. And now, Julie, could you answer that question?
Yes. Regarding parks, we need to consider accessibility. And so it's wonderful that we have so many parks. Unfortunately, sometimes the kids just aren't able to play because they don't have equipment to play there. And so one of the things that I do support that just started over this summer is the mobile park. And the mobile park is actually a van of equipment that is taken around in Newark, and it is going to different local parks. And they actually do help initiate games and facilitate activities for students and youth in our community. And so that helps accessibility. Additionally, when we think about maintenance, we think about our roads, and our roads is funded from things like the gas tax. Sometimes that's not enough, and so therefore we have to take from general funds. And when that occurs, then we have to ask ourselves, how much can we take? How much is in reserves? And what we do know is on June 30th, 2023, there was a reserve for Newark that totaled at that time $22.2 million, which was 33.6% of the final general fund operating and debt services expenditures. And so we have to continue to maintain what we do have and keep it pristine for Newark. Regarding our homeless population, we have to work with the county. Thank you.
And Jacinta, can you address that question?
Sure. So one of the biggest issues that has come up while I've been canvassing neighborhoods, and if I haven't made it out to your neighborhood, hold on, because I'm coming. So one of the two things that they keep addressing with me is street repairs and parks. They really want to see those done, and they want to see them done quickly. They're frustrated. They understand, I keep explaining that the city has a plan to repair all streets, but they're frustrated because it's not going fast enough. And it's not going fast enough because there isn't enough funding. We get funding for that with our gas tax. Now, what's great, and here's a plug for Measure LL, what's great is that measure will help with this. It's going to provide some of the funding that perhaps we can expedite getting some of these repairs done quickly. So please vote for Measure LL. Now, for our parks, I got to tell you, one of the best things that would really help the neighborhood to improve our quality of life, in my opinion, would be to create a path from the city to Don Edwards where you could walk or you could take your bike. I would love to see that happen, and I would be very much in support of figuring out if the city can't afford it, maybe we need to take a look at some of our big companies as our partners to help bring in some funding from them, just like Facebook did. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next question, and Julie, you will come first on this. Newark may be susceptible to sea level rise and flooding in the coming years. Of particular concern is further development along the Newark shoreline. How should the City Council address these current and future concerns?
Yes. And so when we think about our environment and we think about our wetlands, we also have to think about our own future and the future of Newark. And wetlands are protected lands. Also, we have Don Edwards, that's right near us, although it is technically Fremont. That's also protected land. And so it has come up in conversations as I've been canvassing. Our neighbors are asking, would you be in favor of protecting even more land for Don Edwards and protected wetlands? And so I can't prejudice myself on the matter. I can't make a decision without knowing more information, so that way it's not impartial. But I will tell you that I do support our environment, and I do support the idea of more federal programs and more federal protection for our wetlands. And so I'm also in support of collaborating with additional cities. And so what that means is when we think about Newark, as I mentioned previously, we have about 47,000 residents. We have about 20,000 houses. And we're not the only location on the coast. And so what that means is we have to work hand in hand with the other cities that are coastline cities. And so this topic has also been broached, even recently, with the various mayors as well. And I'm in favor of working with other cities within our communities and within our area of all of California so that we could come to an agreement of what we could do collectively. Thank you.
Jacinta, could you address that question?
So to me, all development plans should be considered and they should be evaluated to determine if it fits the needs of our community. While I am fundamentally opposed to building on the wetlands because of environmental concerns that I'm sensitive to, I also understand that there's a high level of need to build. We need housing. So quite honestly, it's a competing priority. And it's something that we need to listen to, all community voices, and then make a decision. We can't preemptively say, I'm against this, I'm against that. You have to listen to all the voices and make the right decisions for the city. Now, what would serve, in my opinion, what would serve Newark the best when it comes to the wetlands is for the federal government to purchase the wetlands and expand Don Edwards Wildlife Refuge. To me, that would solve the problem. But let's say that doesn't happen. Then we need to work collaboratively with all of the Tri-Cities and even further, all those that are impacted by the coastline. Because everybody's got to put their small grain into solving this problem. Thank you.
And Terrence, the same question?
Yes, sea level rise is obviously a global issue, and Newark is not, can't really address it on its own. Sort of even on a local issue of levees and dikes, it has to be done in coordination with the whole region, or it really doesn't make sense. So the city council needs to be working in partnership with regional agencies and with our neighboring cities, so we can come up with a plan to protect our existing communities from sea level rise. In addition, any new development that occurs is already required to study its impact on the impact of sea level rise on those locations. They're required to bring in enough fill to lift up the areas out of the flood zone. And as a council member, I would certainly work to maintain that that requirement, that we make sure that the development that is built in a way that does not put it at risk. But we have existing neighborhoods that could be in danger, and we have to work with our community partners, with our neighbors, to find a way to protect our community from sea level as it rises. Of course, we also need a climate action plan to help and to join in with, and I know the city is beginning that process, but to work with our neighbors to address our reduction of our greenhouse gas emissions as a community and as a city.
Okay. The next question will first go to Julie. Are you in favor of ballot measure LL, which increases the hotel tax? If so, what are the best uses for the additional revenue?
Thank you for the question. Regarding ballot measure LL, I am a proponent. I do realize that it does increase hotel tax from 10% to 14%. And that's for individuals who are staying at hotels. And so with that, we could anticipate about a $2 million per year amount in gains. And additionally, we can use funds towards helping our first responders and our 2 fire stations that are over 50 years old. These fire stations are the home of our heroes. And so we have to ask ourselves what we're doing to help those who come first to help us. And so that's why I am a proponent of Measure LL. I feel that it only assists and helps our community. A majority of the individuals that do stay in hotels are from outside locations, such as Palo Alto. Palo Alto's hotel tax is 15.5%. Newark's hotel tax is 10%. That's a difference of 5.5%. And so we're asking ourselves whether or not we're worth it. And I say that we are.
Thank you. Terrence, same question.
I do not support Measure LL. I don't believe that that raising taxes is the right first solution to fiscal issues. I think we really need to study to see if there's other alternatives. In particular, I'm concerned about Measure LL making it harder to attract hotel development into our community. Hotel occupancy tax is a big part of our revenue picture, and I'm concerned that Measure LL would be a dampener on hotel construction in our community. Even though our rates may be lower than Palo Alto's, they are higher than surrounding cities, and it would put us at a competitive disadvantage.
And Jacinta.
So I'm one of those people that hates to think about increasing taxes, but I'm very much in favor of Measure LL. And the reason why I'm in favor is, while the 4% tax increase will put us probably higher than Fremont and Union City. We don't compare it to them. We're actually part of the Silicon Valley. We're right across from Facebook. Google's nearby. A better comparison is those cities that are on the peninsula, because that's where they're going to go stay. They're either going to stay there or they're going to stay, guess where? Close to, which makes that Newark. So for me, I'm very much in favor of increasing the tax from the 10% to the 14%. What will it be used for? In my opinion, it's for the firehouses. They do need to be repaired. I also think that they could be used for maintenance on local services and facilities. And as I said, speed up the repairs on streets that so many of our citizens are asking for. They could be used to repair the potholes. That's also another issue that keeps coming up, because some neighborhoods are experiencing flooding during the heavy rains. So we need to increase our services there. And then we need to maintain our neighborhood police patrols. This Measure L, that could bring the funding for that. So I'm very much in favor, and I hope all of you out there will be too.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. I have one from the audience that will go first to Jacinta. And the question is, what is your opinion of the state's intervention in local land use issues?
My opinion is, if they want to continue to be involved in those decision-making, then they need to provide the funding, honestly. I think that whenever the state is asking for any type of changes, the first thing that everyone needs to ask, who's funding it? And that's something that I had to deal with a lot with the county. They would come up with these things where they wanted us to implement, and there's no funding. So the cities are then having to figure out where they're going to get the resources for this. So that's one of the things that I would help with, is to have those conversations with the state to say, that's great, where's the funding coming from? Thank you.
Terrence, the same question?
Yes, could you repeat it?
Yes. What is your opinion of the state's intervention in local land use issues?
Yeah, so I have almost 35 years experience in land use planning, and I've seen one poorly planned state piece of legislation roll over us after another. The state level is not the place to address housing. Local control should be the primary concern. I understand if the state is concerned about actual impediments that have been put in place by some cities to prevent housing, but the sledgehammer that they're trying to use to kill a fly is inappropriate for what we're doing and what's happening in our communities. Local control should be in place, and as Jacinta indicated, if the state wants to see change in this area, the state needs to put their money where their mouth is and provide funding to make it happen. I know from in the past and in our history that if there's funding available, we will make the improvements. We will provide housing for our community. We don't need a mandate from the state to do it. We just need help.
And Julie?
Yes. Well, my opinion of the state's intervention in local land use issues is that it's overreaching. And the reason why I state this is because as a planning commissioner, I was recently here for a meeting, and there was an individual who was here from actually a different county, and he said he's an attorney. He's an attorney, and as an attorney, he wanted to oppose an additional building of fixing our local McDonald's. And so then the question came, where are you from? Have you been here? Do you realize that our McDonald's hasn't been renovated since maybe the 70s? And he said, no, I've actually never driven here and I haven't seen it, you know? So it's like, no, actually I don't know. Because when I ask myself, what does the state have to do with local government? The state is in Sacramento. They're making decisions in Sacramento. And of course, as a city, we will comply with state rules. I know one of the state rules or initiatives was to provide additional housing and to make it easier to make ADU units. And so that's one of the ways that the state decided to intervene. Another way, though, was affordable housing and to ensure that all the cities are in compliance. And so when it comes to compliance issues, then we have to make sure that we are aligned with the state. Otherwise, we will face difficulties and penalties. And so we have to be open-minded with that as well.
Thank you. So we've come to each candidate's closing statement. It's 2 minutes or up to 2 minutes, and we will start with Terrence.
Great. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this this event. It's very important that this community has this opportunity to hear from candidates, and I, for one, as a citizen, appreciate all the work you do in our community. So Newark is a vibrant and diverse community with incredible potential. We also face challenges that require thoughtful leadership, collaboration, and action. By working together, we can make Newark better, safer, more vibrant, more fair, and more sustainable. I'm committed to listening to the concerns of voters, fostering transparent governance, and working with community stakeholders to create opportunities for all. Whether it's addressing crime, supporting local businesses, or ensuring that all voices are heard, my goal is to represent Newark citizens with integrity and vision. I'm running for city council because I believe in a future where we prioritize inclusivity, education, economic vibrancy, and sustainability. I'm a leader with a vision, and I have the experience that Newark needs. To the voters that are here and watching, I want to thank you for paying attention in this forum, and I appreciate your interest in our community.
Thank you. And Julie, your 2-minute closing statement.
I plan to preserve and maintain our small time and small town character, the nature and beauty of Newark. I believe that our best approach to protecting our city is balanced and managed planning and growth. My experience as a Newark educator and being a board of director with PTA and volunteering has been extremely rewarding. I have a Juris Doctorate degree, a Master's of Science degree, and a bachelor's degree. On City Council, I plan to bring my passion of doing all that it takes to get the job done. I'm deeply rooted in public service to our local community, which is why I earned the President's Gold Service Award in 2023. I would like to personally express my deep gratitude to all my supporters to help build this campaign. I'm trying to make it easy for you to vote Julie Del Catancho for Newark City Council. It's true I have education and communication, but above all, I have ingrained in me the same dedication that my grandfather had when he enlisted in the military. And like him, I'm the type of person that will sign up and do something to fight for you. Even if we have a different point of view, because I never compromise liberty, or all our liberty is compromised. Let's make Newark a place where ordinary people like us can collaborate and make an extraordinary city. Julie Del Catancho for Newark City Council. Thank you.
Well, Jacinta, it's up to you to bring us home.
All right, here we go. First of all, again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for giving us this opportunity, and more importantly, giving the residents this opportunity to get to know us better. I also want to thank everybody in the audience, and I want to thank everybody that's watching online. You will soon have to make a choice on who should fill the 3 vacant seats in City Council. I humbly ask that you consider me as your choice based on the experience and knowledge that I would bring to this position. I bring knowledge and experience in navigating not just the county that I work with, but state and federal funding, all of their operations as well. And I would work hard to build strong partnerships and ensure that Newark receives its fair and equitable share of resources. As a member of the Emergencies Operations Team for the County of San Mateo County, I dealt with both natural and health emergencies, and I am prepared to support our city with my FEMA certification. My background in finance and administration will allow me to hit the ground running. With so many open seats, it will be especially important to have a seasoned and experienced professional like myself. I also bring program experience. I have homelessness that I oversee for the County of San Mateo. I have child support. I have children and family services, which includes child protective services, adoptions, and foster care. I also oversee eligibility for Medi-Cal and CalFresh, which is food stamps. And I have also experience in public safety. I worked 15 years with the district attorney in San Mateo County, and that provided me a deep ingrained love for our public safety employees, both in police, in prosecution, and in fire. I thank you again, and that I hope that I have earned your vote tonight. It would be my honor to serve as your city council member. Thank you.
So on behalf of the League of Women Voters, I want to thank each candidate tonight for your participation and especially for your willingness to run for public office and serve your community. We want to be sure that all voters know about the League's Voters Information website, vote411.org, VOTE411.org. This is an award-winning voting election resource that provides reliable, nonpartisan information in both English and Spanish, including candidates' guides, voter registration and verification, details about your unique ballot, and how to vote in your state. In 2020, more than 6 million people came to vote for 11 for election information on over 22,000 nationwide races. And thank you to our audience for watching this forum. And please, remind your family and friends to vote no later than November 5th. Good night. Thank you.